So we got Steve from Blackstar. How you doing, Steve?
I'm really well, thank you. Good to see you guys as ever.
Yeah,
And you, bud.
same here. Missing your visits and your biscuits, and
Yeah, I just wish it was in person, man. It's been such a crazy year and an awful year for so many people. But hopefully we'll be out of it pretty soon. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, before Christmas, we were invited to like a bit of a show and tell with you guys. So I don't know how much of that we're allowed to. We are focusing this one on something that's been released this week, kind of in real time. But just with regards to other things with Blackstar, you got loads on the plate at the moment. There's lots coming out, isn't there? Yeah,
we've started 2021 off with a bang. I have to think about the year then. Yeah, it's really exciting. We've got ID Core version 3. ID Core is such a big deal for Blackstar globally. I think we've sold close to 500,000 of these.
Wow.
And the proof is in the pudding. They sound great. They're easy to use. You guys do really well with them, as you know. We're really excited about the version 3.
You were saying that it's an important product for you. It's it's probably equally as important for us. It's such it fits such a good spec and price point. Whether if you're looking for a starter kit, the amount of people that will happily spend an extra 30 quid on an amplifier from going for something which is just kind of just bog standard, clean and overdriven, to something that can keep you entertained for months and months. It's
I think that's the thing, especially on an amp. This the price point is, as for something like the 10, that's a perfect starter amplifier for people starting, and obviously kids as well. It's got so much on there that you can just sort of explore with and mess around with, and you don't necessarily have to have a good sound. Like we did the roll the dice on our video. I know some of the sounds were just wild. Like, just what could you use that for? But it's fun. And I think that's the big thing, and at such a good price point as well.
And so when we know that there's, you mentioned there's going to be an update to it, you kind of think, right, what's going to, you almost feel a little bit precious about the version that's current. So version 2, which it was, it's still a fantastic amp. What can you do to it to make it better? Yeah. It's almost like the sounds are not dissimilar. Actually, they're quite similar to what version 2 version 2 sounds are. But it seems like you've made the upgrades focused at the people who do want to do the home recording and get a bit more in depth with regards to. Yeah,
it's by the way, great job on the video for you guys. As always, fantastic production, great sounds, great guitar playing, all that good stuff. So thank you for that. But
one of those was a lie.
We didn't want to change the product physically too much because people know and love what it already is. But it's almost like the Blackstar designers thought, we'll just throw this in. People are going to use it. So the live streaming aspect is fantastic for the way musicians perform today throughout this pandemic and ongoing. I think the whole live streaming world will just jump from strength to strength.
Well, it was evolving that way anyway, but it's almost like the pandemic has sped things up by about 5 years, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we've all had to learn how to become competent cameramen, musicians on screen. I mean, we all of us have sat there with a guitar and sat in front of a camera, and it's not the easiest thing to do. No. And to have something like this product helping you along the way with just one or two extra cables at a low cost, as long as you've got a smartphone, you can virtually gig to the world. with products that are under £200,
And also, the ID Core 10s, especially, I'd say, guitar teachers in this area would just recommend their students just go down to A strings, pick up an ID Core 10. That's all you want. That's what they use. It's what they recommended. And it's almost like with the the updates you've done with the version 3. It's almost reward for them for their loyalty, in as much as the features that you've done with regards to the streaming capabilities and all that absolutely fits a need that they have got at the moment, because a lot of people, most people, aren't comfortable with the one-to-one lesson scenario. So it's
absolutely,
been over Zoom, Skype, or FaceTime, or whatever. So
yeah. I mean, there's physical differences. Like, we've used a much more cosmetic pleasing fret from the Silverline range, so it looks a lot smarter. It's got a little bit of the Silverline graphic on the top panel as well, but we've got the ergonomic recessed handle underneath as well, so it's a lot easier to carry. Guitar players tend to have greasy hands, so anyone from working in a store to actually owning a product and being a typical end user, you can just pick it up nice and easy, and that's really nice. But it's internally what's different. Like you say, the version 2, it still stands up. The tones are fantastic. There's nothing really different here.
So just with regards to forgetting, the big news is the Architect software and the cab emulating, and that's something that we're going to get into. But just with regards to what you're going to get tonally from out of the box, an ID Core 20 versus a version 3 against version 2, are there any different effects? Are the distortions different, or?
No, it's pretty much the same tones. I think the guys, well, basically we had some new employees at Blackstar, some fresh blood who came along in the digital world and took a look at ID Core and its success, and went back down to the ground with it and revoiced the effects slightly. So they do sound a little different, but you'd have to have a really good ear to tell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even ID Core V1 is still one of my favorite amps, let alone V2. Yeah. I still have V1 in my spare room. Which,
I was going to say, you collect them, in as much as...
Yeah. So, I mean, since March, my spare room has become a stock room, pretty much. A warehouse. I've only got a small gap of about that far to walk down the centre to get stuff. But, I mean, V3 is upgraded on the effects, but the voices are the same.
Yeah.
So with the V3s then, is this the first one with the cab sim, or do we have cab sim in, or a version of the cab sim in the Insider software?
So with the Insider software, for anybody out there that's used Insider or know of it, it's really dated tech now. So it came out in 2013. Right. I mean, it came out when I started at Blackstar. The output was an emulated cab. So there was just one version of a cab, basically. So if you took a headphone out, it'd have a cab sim on it. If you went to a PA from a mini jack to 2/4 inch into 2 channels, panned it left and right, you'd have your super wide stereo, and you'd have a cab emulation, if you like. The cab rig Lite, which is included in the Architect software for V3, is a really big step above. So that's where the difference lies. The good news is that Architect is you can use it with older products apart from the cab rig. So Architect is new software. So we came across some issues with Mac operating systems throughout the years because they change the goalposts all the time, which is frustrating, especially for us and the users. Windows has always been pretty easy with Insider, but you can still get hold of Insider. We still have links to send people if they want to use that. The only difference there is you get the audio phrase trainer where you can slow the music down and create a loop and learn parts. Architect doesn't have that, but everything else that Insider has, Architect has.
So when it comes to programming like the Silverline series of amplifiers, are they now going to be using the Architect software as well?
Yeah.
And there's no cab emulation on...
Yes, there will be on the Silverlines. So the only thing it doesn't cover is ID Core V1, V2.
Sure.
I'd have to check on the ID Core Beam, but things like Silverline and products forthcoming, which is super exciting, which you hinted at earlier. You guys were lucky enough to see some presentations on that. What we've got coming from Blackstar in the next few months is out of this world. Hopefully game changers in the market, but the cab rig's going to be, it's just going to go.
Yeah. And again, I'm not giving anything away at all, but the products that we've seen that you've got coming to market, again, are perfectly timed for when they're going to be released. Is perfectly timed for the needs of the musicians out there, I think.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. That's
not being aware of embargoes. I know basically we go live with things when you tell us to, but is there anything else that's been announced recently that we can?
No.
Okay.
Just ID Core V3 at the moment.
Just shut the hell up then.
Yeah.
What's exciting as well is in terms of the Silverline now getting the cab rig stuff. You think of the combinations, like the combination of sounds we got in our video for the ID cores, just changing, just going through different cabs, cab styles, different mic styles. You can make your OD2 channel sound horrible, nasty 80s thrash to something really, really tasteful, really smooth and tasteful.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like the valve combination, the valve profiles, and then the cab profiles in a Silverline. Yeah, flip it. You've got everything you need essentially.
Yeah.
Especially recording
There's
wise.
so much, as you guys are aware, being in this industry, there's so much tech out there that really takes things so far. There's digital products out there that are a lot of money, as we know, that a lot of users don't really delve too far into because they're not used to it. They can't get their head around it. It takes reading a PDF manual for a couple of evenings in a row to really try and scratch the surface. But what we try and do at Blackstar is embrace that whole digital world with simplicity. So, for example, the Architect software is nice and clean now. It's easy to use. You can get into it within 10 minutes. The cab rig, it's really easy to understand what you're looking at. There's 3 types of mics you can use. There's a bunch of cabs you can use, like open back 212, 1x10, classic 412 cabs. It gets you into that world of responses, but it works different to IRs. So impulse responses, if everyone is familiar with that, is often just a snapshot. And when you're using 2 at the same time, you can come across phase issues. I've got a friend who I was talking to the other day who's a studio guy, and somebody gave him a memory stick of 1,000 IRs. Are you going to sit there and scroll through 1,000 impulse responses to try and get the sound you're looking for? Often simplicity is best. And we feel that with the Architect and Cab Rig Lite with V3, it's just dead easy to use. And if you're recording via USB, going from the line out into your sound card, or just using the ID Core V3 as your sound card, or just using headphones, you can get really quick access to IR type technology. So it's more in the vein of things like the Oxbox and 2 Notes, that kind of thing, where it's all built in, and you don't have to spend too much time trying to get the perfect sound.
Yeah. Well, in the video, it was me on the controls and Adam doing the playing, and if I can work it, anybody can. It's such an easy and intuitive interface. But I think the best thing to do when if you haven't bought into the whole kind of cab emulation and different types of mic positioning and all that kind of thing, if you go from one extreme to another, so your 1x10, I think it was, to your modern 4x12 on the other extreme.
Yeah.
Between one and the other, you do hear such a massive difference, and from there on, as long as people get into it for the first time, I'd recommend doing that, because once you hear what the difference can be, you'll instantly have a preference, and that's where you get to kind of fine tune your.
It's funny throughout my musical career and working in studios and going to do demos with my bands and stuff over the years, there have been so many whispers about how to get the best sound of your speaker cab and holding a torch up to it and getting the right angle and this cab rig light, you can see or you can hear, should I say, what on axis or off axis sounds like, whether you're moving the mic slightly or having it facing forwards. It's only very small details, but once you get used to it, it'll really get you into that world. And I still can't believe that all that tech is available for the customer for under £200.
That's exactly it. It's become so affordable, and it's. For something that for ID Core 10, which is £115, it's you've got recording quality sounds. You put your guitar on a track and try to get people to if you tell them that it's coming from something that's under £120, they're just going to absolutely shake their head. It's a good sounding thing as well.
It's a very for such a small box. It's a very powerful package, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I wanted to ask, obviously the cab rig software is called Cab Rig Lite.
Yes.
Does that mean that sometime, somewhere, there's going to be
full fat version?
Full fat, yeah.
Full fat version, yes, indeed. So we've talked about it briefly and hinted, but there's going to be some more products coming from Blackstar in the forthcoming months that Cab Rig and Architect will work with alongside. But the Cab Rig full fat version is going to be astonishing. So many more controls and versatility over your tone, room environment, all that good stuff. EQ.
So a Cab Rig is Blackstar proprietary software. It's not like bought in from.
No, it's designed in-house in Northampton, England.
Yeah, brilliant.
Very proud of the team as always. They're a great bunch of guys, and they're very, very passionate about what they do.
The energy from you guys is in abundance, because you were by far the most active supplier during during lockdown with regards to engaging with us and in turn with the customers. We've really felt an increase in interest in the Blackstar.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, I have to say at the time, it was all panic stations around March. And we had, put it this way, my typical week for Blackstar would have generally been in the car every day, as you know, visiting stores, because I'm the Southwest sales manager. So stores in Wales, the southwest of the UK, right up towards Stoke. So that was my area. So my typical week would be on the road constantly, approximately 6 hours in the car a day, 4 to 6 hours a day. Which when you do that, it's really tiring, and it has an effect on your mental health and your well-being. And I'd probably call the office once or twice a week. When lockdown hit, we were having 3 Skype meetings or Zoom meetings every day. And all of a sudden, there became a very regimented approach, but it wasn't a pressured approach. It was really something special. We were coming up with so many ideas, bouncing off each other. It was great to see everyone every day. There was lots of banter in the morning, cups of teas, pajamas often. What we're going to do today. And we became a stronger team for it. And we still have meetings every day.
Brilliant.
And the marketing team, which I'm part of as well as sales. So I have a sales meeting. I have a marketing meeting. The guys are just wonderful. The graphic, right from the graphic designer, Scott, right through to video editing, James and Ollie and Joel and Mary, the whole team.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. And then on the sales side, it's what can we do to help the customers? And as you guys took part of, and we did some amazing deals throughout the pandemic so far that allowed the customer to get an amazing product at a lower price.
Absolutely, and just looking at it from a business point of view, it's almost like those deals almost to be written off as a marketing expense, because your audience is so much bigger today than it would have been if you hadn't put those deals back then, for people to know about new ID cores, other things in the future. The amount of we're small fry compared to the guys who do the majority of business with in this industry, but the amount of starter guitars and kits that we put together was phenomenal. And it's encouraging, because even if 5% of those people carry on playing and make it a permanent hobby, it means that we have a future ahead of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People, the existing customer base, they're never going to stop playing guitar. They might go blow hot and cold with it, but they're quite constant. But it's this new injection of new blood, I think
we've been extremely lucky as an industry to have people's interest in music blossom again.
Yeah.
And I've said it to you before many, many times, you guys, but for your audience that is listening, I travel globally for Blackstar. I'm the global product specialist, and I've been to thousands of guitar stores. And this week or last week was my 8-year anniversary of working for Blackstar as that position. And A Strings is easily in that top 5 of great stores with great people. Because an old friend of mine, Keith Dudley, who's no longer with us, he was one of the key people at Blackstar. He was at Marshall for many, many years, and he was one of the guys that started the company and really planned the global Blackstar story in those early 6 years. He said to me once, people buy from people. And you guys are just awesome. So I just want your audience to know that me, as a rep for a company, a global company, thinks that highly of your store. The layout, the look, the cleanliness, the banter, the cups of teas are fantastic. And the store is just great. So kudos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Who knows what this year is gonna bring? I'm approaching it with some optimism. Like I say, going off the back of there being such an influx of fresh blood into taking up guitar and that kind of thing. I think that hopefully it's gonna mean that we've got business to do in 2021. But it's we're in a state of limbo at the moment. Obviously, people can't come into the store, and Adam and Tom have been working really hard on the videos this last couple of weeks, and which is
where are you at on your YouTube subscribers now? Because that's really grown, hasn't it, for you?
Yeah, so we hit 7,000 back in November.
Yeah,
and I think we're up to
7.5. I think now.
We're just under 7.5 now. So
that's fantastic, man.
It really is. It seems to be kind of exponential, in as much as the more subscribers you've got, the quicker it kind of escalates. And there's quite a few people that I've followed on YouTube where they were hovering around the 4,000 or 5,000 mark for a while, and then they do these things. If we can get to 7,000, there's this one guy. I'm not going to name channels, but I'm a big Brian May fan, and I follow him because he's so bad at playing Brian May licks. It's that thing where
is his name Brian Stray?
That's very good, actually. But he basically, he's gone from, he capitalized on the Bohemian Rhapsody kind of film, but he went from 5,000 subscribers up to, I think he's on 90,000 now. Jeez. And he's given up his day job. He's doing Skype lessons over YouTube, and also he monetizes YouTube. and so he doesn't need to work anymore. He's made YouTube his thing, and good on him. I sound very nasty what I just said there. I like I say, I'm not naming names or anything, but I follow him just to see what the responses are to the people who follow him. And
sure.
Basically, what I'm saying is, you haven't got to worry about your playing.
Okay. It's not even the playing that people complain about, is it?
Yeah.
You do a great job, mate. You do a great job.
They really have stepped it up, and as well, with Tom's photography with Instagram, that's broken a bit of a barrier recently as well. It's
amazing. Yeah, you do such great content. And I said to you guys before, I know we talked about it, but you did a video where I think it was at your place, Andrew, and the sun was going down and the view was beautiful. It was outdoors.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. And with those beautiful South Wales views on tap, right, half an hour's drive away from you, I think when the weather gets better, you need to do more of that. It's like amazing to see like guitars, acoustics, amps, whatever it is in those valleys. I think that'd be a real great angle for you. And it's just about getting stuff viral, isn't it? And you can do it with the ID Core V3 because you can power them by battery.
Well, this is the thing. So I was just about to say, anything acoustic wise, now we've got the ID Core Acoustic 30.
Yes.
That's an instant kind of vocal acoustic, straight out to a device or recording. You've got the power bank as well. And it's a torch.
Yeah,
and it's a torch. So if you're recording late into the evening in the valleys and you get lost, you can find your way back to your car.
The smoke signals work just fine, thanks, Steve.
What's Project Blair Witch, is it?
Yeah.
But just imagine a duo. Like my band, Gasoline and Matches, maybe just a little plug there. On the streets in a town with an acoustic core, a vocal going into it, an acoustic guitar going into it, beautiful sounds, 30 watts, powerful, and an ID Core 40 next to it with a Strat. Imagine that sound in a town centre.
Absolutely, and
hang on, he went to Joshua Tree. We got a Ponty town centre.
But you go down Cardiff Queen Street, any given Saturday in normal times, and you've got at least 5 buskers playing through really, really crappy 15-year-old Roland street cubes.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush. It's an outdated product that people still kind of go towards. When you've got something like your ID Core acoustic or any ones of these, like whether you're just playing on the backing tracks or whether you're actually up there singing as well, you've got it all for much better quality and cheaper price.
Yeah, people were always asking us for battery powered products, and we sort of tested the water with the Fly 3 and then the Superfly, and onto more powerful units now. So it's a real good place to step into for Blackstar.
As you know, I've got the Superfly and I've got the power bank, and but I literally just use the power bank, and the battery life, is hours and hours. Do you know what the battery life is going to be like with the ID cores? Is it going to have a bit more? Do they need a bit more juice than the Superflies?
Well, from the designers, I was told 8 hours, so it's a good day's work.
Yeah. So in terms of busking or out and about, you're
as much as you're going to do.
Yeah, you're not going to need any more.
Yeah. That's good. So that should be cool.
Steve, thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time.
That's okay, guys. Lovely to see you. So hopefully it'll be in the flesh soon.
Yeah, absolutely. With clothes on. But you said, when can we expect the next Blackstar announcement? How far away is that?
So there'll be some announcements on Blackstar new gear every Tuesday this month.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool to know. And also next week, I'm lucky enough to interview 5 of our amazing endorsees, from Gus G, Toby Lee, Carmen Vandenberg, John Gom, and Jared James Nichols, our good friend Jared James Nichols. I'm doing an Instagram takeover with those guys, so for anybody into that, look out for that. But yeah, so yeah, it's all good. It's all good fun. It's a busy time at the moment. Yeah,
I bet. Well, maybe we'll see you again at some point soon to talk about what else has been announced. So,
yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
thanks, guys. A-Strings rules.
Cheers, Steve. Take care, mate.
Ben.
Take care.
Bye.
Sure, man.